Sometimes in a quiet moment, you hear a voice. The world outside goes silent, but your mind starts talking. And that voice, it can either lift you up or crush you down. The day ends, your phone goes dark, the crowd disappears. And in that final silence, you hear that familiar sound inside you. But that voice doesn't always treat you well. Sometimes it judges you for your past. Sometimes it reminds you of everything you didn't do. And sometimes it just quietly pulls you under. But let me ask you this. Whose voice is that really? Is it actually yours? Or is it the echo of fears you've carried for years? The guilt, the shame, the things others said about you and you started to believe. Maybe it's that scolding you heard as a kid, the hurtful words from someone you once loved, or the quiet whispers of society saying, a real man should be this, not that. Maybe all of that shaped your inner voice. But here's the truth. If that voice was built, you can rebuild it. Marcus Aurelius, a Stoic philosopher, once said, your inner voice can be your best friend or your worst enemy. In this video, we'll explore how a Stoic man talks to himself, what he says when things get hard, how he lifts himself back up when he falls, how he leads himself, even when he's the one tearing himself down. Because real leadership starts here, with the voice in your own head. Before you can influence anyone else, how you talk to yourself defines who you are. And maybe after this video, the first thing you'll finally say to yourself is, I'm on your side. Let me ask you something. That voice in your head, is it really your voice? I mean, is it actually you talking? Or is it just the echoes of what others told you long ago? Because most of the time, we don't even notice it. But those inner thoughts running in the back of your mind, a lot of them aren't even yours. Maybe it's your father's harsh tone. Maybe your mother's worried eyes. Maybe a teacher's condescending look. The moments where you were silenced, belittled, told you weren't good enough. Those words didn't just disappear. Over time, they became your inner voice. And now, even when no one's saying anything to you, you keep repeating it to yourself. You messed it up again. You always do this. Who's ever going to love you anyway? It's like there's someone inside you watching you all the time, judging every mistake, shutting down every feeling, shrinking every dream. But here's where the Stoic man is different. He doesn't react to that voice automatically. He takes a step back and he asks, whose voice is this? How long has it been speaking to me like this? Is it helping me or sabotaging me? Stoicism teaches us something simple. Not every thought is true, not every inner voice is your friend. And here's the key. You can't change that voice until you understand where it came from. That critical voice in your head. Maybe once it tried to protect you, kept you from failing, kept you from being alone. But now, you're not a child anymore. You're at the age where you can lead yourself. So how does this shift begin? By asking better questions. When did this voice start talking to me? Who did I first hear this from? How is it treating me right now? Would I say these same words to my son or my closest friend? When you ask these questions, a whole new space opens up in your mind. The weight you didn't even know you were carrying starts to lift. Because now you're not running on autopilot. You're becoming aware. And for the Stoic man, that awareness means taking the wheel. That voice inside you might sound like a scared child. But instead of yelling, shut up, you learn to say, I hear you. That's your first real step. Because until you make peace with that voice, you won't be able to build healthy relationships out there. And you won't grow into the man you were meant to become. And don't forget this. That voice might not be trying to stop you. Maybe it's trying to show you something. So now let's go deeper. Why is that voice so harsh? Why does it always show up in your weakest moments? Let's figure that out in the next part. You ever wake up one morning and feel off for no reason? You didn't do anything wrong, but your energy's gone. You feel heavy. You don't even want to look in the mirror. And before you even make your coffee, that voice has already started talking. No one's going to love you like this. You're late again. You failed again. Nothing's ever going to change. Stop trying. This is the voice that beats you down. And most men think it's normal, but it's not. That voice, it has a pattern. It's harsh. It's cold. It's never kind. And here's the kicker. It doesn't deal in truth. It deals in exaggeration. Let's say someone disrespects you. That's the reality. But your inner voice says, see? No one respects you. You don't deserve respect. The situation was about one person, but your voice turns it into a statement about your worth. This is called meaning distortion, and it's one of the biggest traps that slowly wears you down. The worst part? You don't even realize it's happening. That voice has been there so long and you've started to believe it. You've mistaken it for truth. Epictetus said it perfectly. It's not the events that hurt us. It's our beliefs about them. Think about that. Life doesn't break you. It's what you tell yourself afterward that does. A woman leaves you and you tell yourself, I must be unlovable. You get rejected in a job interview and you say, I'm just not good enough. You make a mistake. And that voice whispers, you're the mistake. But here's what a Stoic man knows. Thoughts aren't always facts, and not every voice in your head deserves a microphone. Here's another key. That destructive voice reveals itself not just by what it says, but how it says it. It's commanding. It's loud. It gives verdicts. It talks in absolutes. It says things like, you always, or you never. And worst of all, it doesn't talk about what you did. It attacks who you are. But a healthy inner voice sounds different. That didn't go well, but next time you'll handle it better. You're feeling down, and that's okay, it'll pass. This moment doesn't define you, it's just part of the journey. The Stoic man pauses right here. He notices the voice. And instead of reacting to it automatically, he observes it. He listens to his own mind. What am I saying to myself right now? Is this helping me or punishing me? Is this really me talking, or is it an old fear wearing my voice? Because if you don't change the language in your head, that language becomes your life. A man who judges himself every day and eventually starts punishing himself. He shrinks his life. He dulls his courage. And worst of all, he starts to believe he's not worthy of love, success, or respect. But here's the truth. That voice isn't your fate. It's just old software. And the good news is, you can rewrite it. So how do you change that voice? Can you really turn an inner enemy into a loyal friend? Let's find out in part 3. If you face that inner voice, now it's time for the most important step. How do you talk back? How do you change the way you speak to yourself? Because let's be real, if your mind is used to being harsh for years, how do you teach it a new language? This is where the Stoic man stands apart. He doesn't try to shut that voice down. He reshapes it, like a sculptor. The stone is raw, cold, and heavy, but with patience, it transforms. Your inner voice works the same way. It can be shaped, it can be refined, but you have to know which tools to use. And Stoic philosophy gives us 3 core tools. Tool 1, neutrality. Don't let emotion control the way you talk to yourself. No hyping yourself up with ego. No tearing yourself down with shame. Just observe. Just speak facts. Like this. I got nervous during the presentation. I stumbled on a few parts. That's information. It doesn't define who I am. Speaking like this creates space. And in that space, you gain control. Tool 2, responsibility. Instead of blaming yourself, you take ownership. You stop asking, why am I like this? And start asking, what can I do next? It sounds small, but it's everything. Because that shift moves you from victim mode to self-leadership. I was hurt in this relationship, but what did I ignore? I'm unhappy at work, but how long have I avoided setting boundaries? These questions don't shame you, they guide you, and every bit of guidance becomes a step toward growth. Tool 3, self-compassion. Let's get this straight. Compassion is not weakness. Showing yourself compassion doesn't mean making excuses or avoiding effort. It means showing up for yourself. I made a mistake, but I won't turn against myself because of it. I feel low today, but that doesn't mean I'm worthless. Let me breathe, then I'll try again. Learning this language takes time, but once it settles in, you'll realize something. That angry voice inside, it's gone. No more shouting, no more judgment. In its place, a calm, clear voice, a quiet but strong inner guide. This new voice doesn't break you down. It helps you stand up. It doesn't criticize. It corrects. It doesn't lie. It leads. But one thing to keep in mind, changing your inner voice doesn't mean flooding yourself with fake positivity. This isn't about saying you're amazing, you're perfect, you're unstoppable all the time. That's not Stoicism. A Stoic man doesn't distort the truth. He builds a better relationship with it. He says things like, I gave my best today. Some things didn't go well, but I showed up with honesty and courage. Tomorrow I'll try again, because this is my path. And with time, this new voice becomes part of you. Your mind stops attacking you and starts helping you build. Now the question is, how does this new voice lift you up? What does it say when you're at your lowest? Let's find out in the next part. Sometimes life brings you to a place where it feels like you've got nothing left in the tank. You're alone, you're tired, you feel stuck. And in that exact moment, a voice rises inside you. But what that voice says changes everything. Does it say, you're done, you've got nothing left? Or does it say, you're struggling right now, but this won't last forever? For a Stoic man, these are the most critical moments. Because what gets you back up isn't what's happening around you, it's what you're saying to yourself. That's why he tells himself, yeah, I've fallen. But falling doesn't mean I'm staying down. This is hard, no doubt. But I don't live by how I feel. I live by my values. This isn't defeat, it's transition. See, here's the real shift. Motivation isn't some loud external energy boost. Real motivation comes from inside. It's quiet, but it doesn't break. And the Stoic man builds that inner fire himself. How? By choosing words that are both real and powerful. Words that acknowledge the pain but also point to the path. Like this. This season might be draining me, but I'm not something that can run out. There's chaos around me, but I can stay calm inside. Even if I do nothing else today, I choose not to give up. And that's enough. These aren't empty affirmations, they're rooted in reality. But they don't leave you stuck there. Because the Stoic man knows, even in the darkest place, man, if there's still an inner compass, you will find the way. And sometimes all it takes is one sentence. This too shall pass, but I won't. And when you hear that, something stirs inside, because it reminds you, you are not your circumstances. You are the one who moves through them, who watches them, who outlives them, and that awareness, that's what gets you off the ground. Don't forget, life might knock you flat, but if your inner voice doesn't keep you there, you rise. Maybe slowly, maybe with shaking legs, maybe with tears in your eyes, but still, you rise. Because you've learned to say one thing to yourself: I'm not here to quit. I'm here to keep walking. Even if I can't move forward today, I still know my direction. I am not where I fell. I am the one who chooses to rise again. And when you learn to speak like that to yourself, you don't need outside motivation anymore, because you've started pushing yourself from the inside. Now, what happens when emotions hit? Anger, anxiety, sadness. How does the inner voice respond to those? Let's see how the Stoic man speaks to his feelings in the next part. Emotions, they just show up. They don't knock. They don't ask permission. Sometimes they just barge in with one word, one look, one memory. And most men, they go silent when that happens, because they've never learned how to talk to emotions. They either shut them down or get overwhelmed. They either ignore them or drown in them. But the Stoic man, he doesn't ignore the emotion. He faces it. And more than that, he speaks to it. Listen close. Being Stoic doesn't mean being emotionless. It means building a conscious relationship with your emotions when they show up. Angry, he asks. What wound is this anger touching right now? What on the outside triggered me? But what's still missing inside? Anxious, he asks. What uncertainty is scaring me? What am I trying to control and that's actually out of my hands? Sad, he asks. Did I lose something? Or am I carrying pain from the past into today? What goodbye have I still not said? These questions don't build a wall against emotion. They help you walk through it. Because the Stoic man knows, when you suppress emotion, it grows. But when you name it, it loses power. And that's when your inner voice steps in, because what it says in that moment guides where that emotion goes. Now picture two different paths. Path 1. Your inner voice says, here we go again. You're always like this, you're weak. That voice shuts you down. You shrink, you retreat, and you tell yourself, I don't show emotions. But that's not strength, that's suppression. Path 2. Your inner voice says, yeah, this hurts, and that's human, but it will pass. This feeling is real, but it's not permanent. Feeling this doesn't make you weak, it makes you human. A man who hears that voice, he might cry, but he doesn't collapse. He might feel anger, but he's not destructive. He might feel anxious, but he's not paralyzed. Because his inner voice is not an enemy. It holds him, calms him, guides him. Look, your emotions are not the enemy, but the way you speak to yourself in those moments can make you feel like your own worst enemy. So ask yourself, when emotions come, do I talk with them or do I run from them? What kind of tone does my inner voice use? If my fear, my anger, or my sadness was a child, how would I talk to it? And why don't I talk to myself that way? The Stoic man sees every emotion as a signal. He listens, but he doesn't let it drive the car, because emotions come and go. But you can be the constant center. This anger is inside me, but I am not the anger. This anxiety is heavy on them, but it's not who I am. This sadness will pass because I know it's not permanent. These are the phrases of your new inner dictionary, and with them, your emotions no longer control you. You learn to walk with them instead. And sure, that walk can be hard, but the Stoic man doesn't make his emotions the enemy. He chooses to walk through them. So now the question is, with everything we've said, what anchors your inner voice? What keeps it steady when everything else shakes? In the final part, we'll look at the one thing that holds your voice firm: your values. You've made it this far. You've started noticing that voice in your head. You've seen where it comes from, how it works, and even how to respond to it. But now we've arrived at something crucial. What is that inner voice built on? Because a voice isn't shaped just by words, it's shaped by the values behind those words. The tone of your inner voice comes from the foundation it stands on. And for the Stoic man, that foundation is clear. It doesn't waver. It doesn't change based on fear, anger, or desire, because his voice is rooted in one thing: values. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "Ask yourself, is this thought truly mine, or is it fear speaking?" That single question, it changes everything. It defines your direction as a man. Picture this. Anxiety hits. Your inner voice shouts, "Run!" But you stop and ask yourself, is this voice coming from my values or my fear? That's where transformation begins. The Stoic man builds his inner voice on 4 core values. First value, courage. When fear shows up, he tells himself, yes, I'm scared, but courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward with fear. His voice doesn't hype him up, it grounds him. This is hard, but I can face it. It's not easy, but I'm not here for easy. Second value, justice. When things feel unfair, his voice shifts. They may act unjustly, but I won't lose my own sense of justice. Everyone walks their own path. Mine is rooted in fairness. This voice doesn't drag him into someone else's chaos. It leads him back to his own light. Third value, self-discipline. The mind wanders. You feel tired. You want to quit. But the voice inside him gently reminds, do what needs to be done today because your habits are shaping your life. It doesn't shout. It doesn't punish. It simply speaks with calm, clear conviction. You don't live for momentary pleasure. You live for what truly matters. Fourth value, wisdom. While the world shouts, he listens. While others react, he reflects. His inner voice says, pause, observe, feel it, but don't judge yet. The world doesn't have to match your expectations. Stay simple, slow down, but don't lose your way. When these 4 values unite, your inner voice becomes more than a passing wind. It becomes a steady current, strong enough to carry you forward. And maybe every morning when you wake up, your first words to yourself are, no matter what I feel today, I will move with courage, justice, discipline, and wisdom. That sentence, it's a promise, not to who you've been, but to who you're choosing to become. Because your inner voice isn't just an echo of your past. It's the compass for your future. And now, no matter how many times you fall, you've got something inside you that will help you rise again. You might even know its name. You, but not just any you, the version of you that's anchored in your values. And now, with all of this awareness, we've reached the end. So ask yourself, what will be the very first thing you say to yourself from this day forward? When everything's quiet, who will carry you then? Let's finish this together. One day when no one else is around, when all the noise dies down, when the phones are off and the faces turn away, there will be one voice left, your inner voice. And that voice, it can crush you. It can drag you through the dirt. Or it can reach out a hand and whisper, get up. I'm here. Throughout this video, maybe for the first time, you've realized something. There is someone who speaks to you every hour, every minute, every second. And the way that voice speaks shapes your entire life. So let's close this with one truth. The way you talk to yourself today is the way you'll talk to your child one day. It's the way you'll speak to your partner, to your friends, to the world. And maybe, for the first time today, you'll say something softly. But clearly it's out to yourself. I'm not your enemy. I'm your companion on this road. Because the Stoic man, he doesn't fight his inner voice. He trains it, and he makes it his leader.